This is really centered around a new product module that we released, the NX Sustainability Impact Analysis module. And this is a module that we introduced to really give designers the transparency within the design window itself to be able to make sustainability quantifiable. So we'll work through assigning materials and determining the sustainability scores using the tool, going through the reports and the metrics provided, and then what it will look like to characterize and search through alternative materials, and what it would look like within your design workflow. So before we jump into the demonstration, whatnot, I really want to put into your mind and leave you with a quote as we go into this. So the European Commission proposal for Directive on Eco-Design said estimated that over 80% of all product-related environmental impacts are determined during the design phase. So whether or not that number is exact, right, I think we can all agree with the sentiment that the further along that we get into a design process, the more difficult it is to make those changes, right? We're capped out by these early design decisions that we're making when we're trying to optimize at the back end of processes. So it makes transparency within the design phase increasingly important as we go into this. So the tool is very new. This was launched back in 22/12, just this past December, and it's available using value-based licensing. So anybody, any users that are there that have access to a token pool are able to check this out and really play around with it. Just see how it would fit into your workflows. We have a material and data library with environmental file provided on NX Support Center, and it uses a couple tools that are familiar to NX users already, the HD 3D visual reporting, and it also, you're able to manage materials within NX native, or if you have Team Center integrated materials management, the workflows are very similar. So I guess now we'll jump into the setup and the report. It's a demonstration. So just to point everybody to where you'd be able to find it in Support Center, you would go through downloads and the environmental variables there for those checking out. The sustainability impact analysis tool can be found in this additional download section of the downloads. And there'll be these environmental properties add-on that you'll move into your install folder base. Now this isn't available out of the box, and Support Center does check for entitlements. So make sure that you have it checked out or that you have the license. They're available to be able to download this to be able to do the things that I'm about to show you today. So in NX, I have this assembly open as a chassis for a truck that we have, and we're able to go into the analysis tab right here and see this new window that says sustainability. Now we're able to activate this report right now that looks at body materials. And we're able to see the different materials assigned already. Now these materials are assigned at the component level, not this assembly. So I went ahead and assigned some ahead of time so we had something to look at. We can see two materials here that haven't been assigned anything. So let's go into this work part. Let's go ahead and assign a material to this so we can go ahead and calculate and look at the sustainability scores here. So let's go ahead and set this to aluminum, this body, and we'll apply it. So as soon as it's applied, we're able to calculate the sustainability scores for this particular part. And a window will pop up with a report showing the different environmental calculations for what the impact will be for this product. So we know that sustainability is a multitude of things, right? I think CO2 equivalent or climate impact are kind of at the forefront, but it is a whole host of different measures. So with this tool, we're able to see the mass of the product, the part, the material that was assigned, as well as the environmental material map to it, the climate change potential in kilograms, the non-renewable energy use for production of this part, the freshwater consumption it will require, as well as the human toxicity there in there. So what's unique here to this is you have the scores assigned for the version of the material that you assign, but we're also able to see the results for what a recycled material or what a renewable material alternative would actually look like. So although not assigned and not in the final calculation, this gives you and your designers an idea of what kind of impact this would have if you were to switch out, seeing the reduction in climate change equivalent, right? Seeing the reduction in freshwater consumption for both recycled and environmental units. So these calculations are what's being provided in that environmental library that we were able to download from Support Center and get into. So with that, with these materials assigned and those scores calculated, we're able to look at a whole host of different reports now, like we'd had before with these body materials. So climate change being an example, like if we wanted to look at the full assembly and wanted to activate this report, we could see which components have the most impact through it. So with visual reporting, for those of you that are familiar, right now we're looking at this report within a percentage range and can see that between 40 and 60% of your climate change potential is being provided, is coming from this engine block, right? And so we can toggle and look to see different areas that would have a significant amount of impact through this. So in this demo specifically, we can also go over and change the way that the visual reporting is being presented to us. We can color and tag the objects. As well as look at the results through a range, as opposed to look at the results through specific values as opposed to a range. Apologies, a little bit of a delay here. We can look at the value applied to the report. And see the color-coded parts and what the specific values are. And these reports are available for all of the metrics that we showed previously, right? So whether that's CO2, whether that's freshwater usage, human toxicity potential, we're able to see this all in the report visually, just like we would measure performance, right? Just like we would look at material lightweight, weight, the materials applied to these different components. So with that, we can kind of see how we're able to look at and visualize these different metrics within the tool. And I think if you notice, a lot of it is centered around the different materials that we assign to the components that we have. And so in this module, this is what a workflow might look like when you're working with your designers and your materials engineers, right? You would go out and you would obtain these material data sheets and look at the different opportunities that you have with your stakeholders for what materials could be used that are recycled, which materials could be used that are renewable? Do we need to use, nominal materials that are more pure? And then once you identify those physical properties, you create that physical material library that's within the tool and add on to what is already provided from the physical material library and environmental material library, and then partition and approve material mappings for those calculations with your sustainability or your materials engineer. And once that library is built, you're able to map those sustainability properties and products through the life cycle stages to have more concrete, quantifiable metrics for your sustainable product design. So if we go back into the tool, right, we can go back and take a look at the different materials and see where some opportunities might exist. Let's say your stakeholders and your materials engineers have discovered, something in the way of a recycled ABS that could be used for this part design, right? We can go in, we can run this body materials report and see where the different components within this assembly are using ABS and where that can be applied. So we can go in here and see this cover. We can make it the work part. Go back and assign materials. For this, select the body, and then go ahead and create the material. So if you want, creating materials is as easy as coming in and entering your material through the window to create the physical properties. So something as simple as just designed to be able to apply it in there. Or you can go in and look through all the properties that pop up in the window. So give us a second while the software loads. We can go in, look at all the properties. Apologies for this delay. And then input these items and categorize them as necessary. So there's an ABS, you can put in, and then categorize it as a sold plastic. At which point you could create these material and have it saved as your local library. And so once you have that physical material, you're able to map this physical material over to the environmental piece that would have been created by your environmental engineer. Now, I want to, just so that you don't have to see me put in all the physical properties for this material, I went ahead and already created this. And we can move the filter and see this EcoBlend ABS. So when you click on the work part to assign the material, we're able to apply it just like we did before. And now we're going to calculate the score again. And we're able to see the changes from where it was. So now that it's a recycled material, we have the impact, and it's the same as the recycled environmental material that, it's potential, right? Because this is now the recycled version of that material that we have. So This is just a way for, is an easy way to get additional metrics that are already in your workflows. You're already assigning materials. You're already looking at metrics in terms of performance with regards to your components. So now you have a quantifiable way to set targets for sustainable design for those materials. And a lot of material suppliers now are, have pressure to provide these material environmental declarations to be able to use in calculations such as this. So go back into PowerPoint. With these calculations, right, we're looking at the complete product lifecycle. So we have the raw material extraction, the make, the packaging and shipments, and the geolocalized pieces, the use, and then the recovery or that end of life or next life piece. This particular release looks at the raw material and the make portion of it. And we'll continue to expand as we continue to release and expand the library, expand the number of materials provided. Really, what we're looking at when we're managing this product for sustainable design, we envision that we're starting out with Team Center, where with your stakeholders, you're setting that target for how much carbon it'll take to produce a particular product, and you're taking those requirements and being able to integrate them and validate them within NX. You're taking that product, you're making design decisions, and then you're shipping a bomb over to Team Center where you have those estimates, and then you're taking that digital estimate, those digital processes, and validating it against the real world, against a tool like Seagreen, where it's collecting, carbon information from suppliers. And once you have that information, you're able to bring it back into Team Center and then bring those reports back into NX, and eventually just get your reports where they have increased fidelity and your estimates are becoming more and more accurate to be able to create more sustainable products. So really, when you're going into these design processes, and if we're shooting for a circular economy, if we're shooting for products that are able to, feed into a next life, right? We have to go in with these concepts and these thought processes at the forefront of it. And so really what we've done with the introduction of this tool is provided a way to measure. NX has always had the ability to design, but now we have a quantifiable way to measure these targets in sustainability, just like before you measured cost and efficiency and quality. Now you have a way to measure the environmental impact of a product, how it affects society. And that's officially done within the design cycle. And so this was a new release in 2212, upgrades made in 2306, but there's a lot of sustainability attached pieces and new design capabilities within NX that can tie into these new properties that we show in and dive into much deeper on the Siemens site. So if you go to the Siemens NX page, you'll be able to see a tips and tricks series where we'll dive into NX Sketch or things like Performance Predictor or Design Space Explorer. There are some new releases. And how they tie into both your design and productivity, but also sustainability. So here, hopefully you're able to see how you can efficiently look at both the materials assigned in nominal versions, but also with the physical material library provided, also be able to consider what a recycled and renewable variation of the material might look like. Now, the materials and the workflow that I showed was the one native within NX, but the workflow is very similar with Team Center Integrated Materials Management. You really just have a revision or like a release status for the part and potentially a change order when you go in where you have a set target where those numbers can be measured against the specific items. So hopefully you also know how to understand and navigate the reports that are being created when you're assigning these materials at the product level, and also be able to look at these full assembly and pick out the high impact parts quickly.
Thanks for checking out our channel. If you like what you saw, make sure to like and subscribe down below so you don't miss out on any new videos. Follow us on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter for the latest engineering news and information. And to see all of our upcoming events, please visit our website at saratech.com/events.